Hi, this is Larry Galloway live with Let's Talk. We all been through a lot in our lives. But first, before I get to the point today, I want to greet you in the Master's name of Jesus the Christ, the magnificent, the wonderful, the Savior of the world. I'm Larry Galloway, and this is my friend, brother Garry Galloway. Today we're going to talk about Desert Storm and some conflicts that we've been in. We'll talk about it with Garry. First, I want to give praise and honor to Jesus, as I said before. He is wonderful. He is awesome. And that's the reason we're still here today. And I want Garry to introduce himself. This is Garry, the Colonel T-Snake. Will you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Garry Galloway. As he said, I'm his twin brother. We grew up in Winterbork, North Carolina. Born in 1967, went to South Pleasant High School and joined the military when I was 17. And was in the Army from basically 18. I went to basic training to 45, so I stayed in the Army 27 years and had a couple of tours to the desert.
Can you tell us about some more of your advanced education?
I got my master's degree in teacher leadership. I got my bachelor's degree from Fayetteville State, which is a historical black college right outside of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I got my master's degree from Union College, and I also got my rank 1, which is a level of teaching that in Kentucky, one level above being a master's degree, which is 30 more credit hours.
You want to speak on your coaching experience at high school or?
I've been coaching football since 2000. I started coaching at Fort Knox Youth League and then coached all the way up. I've been coaching at the high school level the last 3 years at the high school that I currently work at. I coach my Raider team, help coach my Raider team. I help coach drill team, color guard. I'm a JROTC at the high school that I currently work at.
Do you want to talk about any of your family, marriage, children?
I'm married to Carmen Dion Galloway. We got married December 23rd. We coming up on our 10th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And I have a 24-year-old son. His name is Garry Jr. He go to Pikeville University in Kentucky.
Garry, what made you decide to join the United States military?
What made me decide to join the United States military is...
One time we were talking about doing the Marine Corps. Me and you remember that? We were talking about going to the Marine Corps.
I was going to go in the Marine Corps. I always grew up wanting to be a Marine. And I talked to my Uncle Van, and he lived right outside of this store where you could call it the corner store. And he was telling me how he served in Germany. So when I got ready to join the military, I talked to the Marine Corps recruiter, but they didn't have a Marine Corps base in Germany. And I wanted to go to Germany, and I had did well enough on my ASVAB so I could pick my duty station. So I decided to join the Army instead of the Marines.
Yeah, I joined a couple of months after you joined. You joined in September or?
I went to basic training September 4th, 1985.
And what MOS was that?
I was a 19 Kilo, which is an armor crew member. At the time, it was on an M60A3, which was a 19 Echo, but transitioned to a 19 Kilo to be on the M1A1 main battle tank. So
when you exited the military, what were you at that particular time
when I exited the military, I was a first sergeant, which I actually was a master sergeant teaching college ROTC at the University of Richmond, Virginia, the Spiders. I did a 3-year tour. It was very informative and educational. I got to help young people to become lieutenants in the Army, and I learned a lot from the people, my co-workers that I work with. They're about finances, stock market, and this, that, and the other stuff that still serves me well to this day.
Richmond, you say?
Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Garry, we were going to start personal because I remember when we was in the morning and I came up before you did. Because I got tired of being inside and I wanted to come out into the world and see what it was about because I was always real furious and stuff. I'm just teasing. But when you heard that we was going to the Middle East to war, could you tell me the first thing that came to your mind?
I really don't remember the first thing that came to my mind. When we found out that we was going to the Middle East, I was in BNOC, which is Basic Non-Commissioned Officer course. So we was kind of
E7 at that time.
E6. We was kind of sheltered from any news back then because nobody had cell phones, and we was in a school, so you only got the information that they gave you. And I remember them coming down saying, "Oh, we getting ready to go to war, and we're gonna go help kick Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait." But the whole time I had been in the military, we had been training to fight the Soviet Union and the Russian war, the East Bloc countries, and so it was new. It was really, I didn't think it was a big deal. We had just come from NTC, which is the National Training Center out in California.
So it was desert also.
It was desert also, so we had been training up for desert warfare, but not fighting it the way we fought it once we got to the desert.
I see my son running around trying to get on the camera there. When we got to that desert, when you landed in that desert, do you remember some of the thoughts or some of the feelings that went through you?
I remember some of the feelings that went through me. Yes, the real feeling was I just wanted everybody to make it home. Back to their families and back to their loved ones. It was in hoping that our training, believing that our training that we had done over the years would prevail and we would come back home alive and we would do what America had sent us to the desert to do.
Right, and that was to defend and get Saddam out of.
That was to kick Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait at the time. And as we all know, oil, gasoline is one of the natural resources that we needed in order for the country to function.
Okay. So when we was in Desert Storm and stuff, it was a lot of, like I was saying earlier when I was talking to some of your siblings, there was a lot of news out there. And the news was always telling us, people that back here as we were sitting there watching CNN and Fox News, that what was going on and how the troops was moving. And Harada, I remember getting on saying, well, you got a troop line up over here and a troop line up over here. Give us some of our stuff away. How do you feel when you heard about the news really giving some? Did you hear about that while you was there too, as well?
Well, we only could listen to, back then, we could listen to the BBC, British Broadcasting Network on the radio, and we also had Stars and Stripes, the newspaper, and I didn't really hear that, but they had guesstimated or estimated how many people would get killed during the war, this, that, and the others. So we read it, but I was too young, really, to think that it would be me.
Right.
I was like, well, somebody gonna get killed.
But it ain't gonna be me.
But it ain't gonna be me, and it ain't gonna be us.
Right.
Because
when you say us, what do you mean?
When I say us, I mean my unit at the time, the guys that I had trained with for years, and we put our feet on the ground, and we figured that we would all go together and come back together, because we always used to say we gonna swim together or we gonna drown together, and we all gonna swim and we all gonna get back home. And I didn't at once, I don't remember once thinking someone in my family would get killed or injured, even though I knew it could happen. I didn't think that it would happen.
Yeah, it was always a possibility because there's so much stuff that was going on, you know. We seen stuff that no person probably deserved to see, you know. But we did because we signed up for it. And we signed up to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And we signed up to fight against enemies that was abroad in
foreign and domestic.
So that's what we did. So what was your most fearful thing about defending that Constitution of the United States, fighting in that desert?
My most fearful thing was hoping and praying that I could do the job to help bring everybody back on my team, my crew, my platoon back alive.
You had some young men.
We had young men, we had old men, we had all types of people. We had, like the country song say, we had divorcees, we had people who probably didn't know whether they was coming or going. We had people that were scared to death, and we had young guys like me who probably wasn't old enough to be scared.
Yeah, I was one of those young guys like you that thought I was invincible because we grew up together, so I know how you felt. I wasn't old enough to be scared. Only thing I had feared, like I had previously said, I feared how would my mama reacting, and how was the ones that was back here like mom and granddad, how was they, daddy, how was they reacting to the news that they was receiving on CNN and Fox, you know, of the bombs that was going off, the glowing that was in the sky. How was they reacting? How did you feel about the reaction of that right after this? Hey, this is Larry Galloway live with Let's Talk. I want you to go to the bottom of this page and subscribe to it. You'll get more information about stuff like this. We're going to be talking about everything from food to religion to history to race to anything that is coming up. We're going to talk about it with Larry. Let's talk. Right back to Garry Galloway, one of my heroes of the war, because I have several heroes in my family, all the way from my great uncles, my siblings, my cousins. We have many heroes that stand and fought for the United States flag. That 15 stripes and that 50 stars, or 13 stripes and the 50 stars. Garry, what was that most fearful thing when you thought about back home, the family?
During Desert Storm, the thing that I think was most fearful is not getting to see my family. I didn't think about what CNN was saying. I didn't think about what was Fox was saying. That was like oblivious to me.
So when
I honestly just thought about what if I never see my family again, or what if they never get to see me again. And as you know as well as I do, we always been mama's boys, and wanting mama to be proud of us and not do so much stupid stuff, and thanking God that she was praying for us. But I never really thought about back home that much. I was just focused on, hey, I got to make sure my tank is ready. I got to make sure we setting up this Alpha. I got to make sure we doing this. I guess I got so engrossed in the job that we had in front of us that I didn't think about back home that much.
All right. I understand that, because the mission was, you were so mission focused that you forgot about, not really forgot about,
I didn't forget.
Think about what was going on.
And you got to realize too, and you got to think about it. Back then, we got a 15-minute phone call once a month, maybe. We got on back of a truck, rode for an hour, they talk on the phone for 15 minutes. We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, so we didn't have constant contact. So your whole reality becomes everybody in that box with you. And you get a letter in the mail, and you happy to get that letter.
Right.
Now, everything is like instant. Somebody can be in the desert, they can talk to their parents, they can go call on the phone, they can get on the computer, they can Facebook them. Back then, it was none of that.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I just remember like the first town, and I was standing there, and bombs started exploding, and Patriot missiles, Scud missiles, and stuff like that. And if I go too far, just let me know. But they started exploding and stuff, and the only thing I could think about is my siblings being well, because I know that we was all over there, and my mama finding out the news that everybody was good. How did that affect you, Annie?
When the bombs and stuff was dropping, stuff exploded. The first was reaction to do what we was trained to do, because we had to like drop, or you had to take cover and conceal. You had to go to MOP level 4, which is putting on your NBC protective mask and all your overgarments to keep from a chemical attack. And that was one of the big rumors,
right? That
they had chemical warfare, and we had to take, I guess they called them BC's, birth control pills. We had to take pills every so many hours, so if something did happen that we wouldn't be affected by the chemicals like we was. And so that was my big thing. And when anything bad happened, I just prayed that everybody would be okay until I got news whether they was okay or not. And I never received news that everybody was not okay, so I believed that they were okay.
Right. Do you remember seeing me over in the desert?
I got that picture. It's my favorite picture in life.
Could you tell us about that picture?
I was on a bus in the middle of the desert. I can't remember exactly where I was at or where I was going. And
Haran.
I can't remember that. And I looked out the bus and I seen somebody standing out there and I yelled. I said, that's my twin brother. And excuse my language. They say, sit down, quit acting stupid. When they said some choice words that I'm trying not to use at this time. And I said, no, that's my brother. I jumped up and I ran to the front of the bus and I darted off the bus. And you should have had the picture here.
I wish I did.
Because I got the picture in my office. And I looked, I had my green wet weather jacket on and I ran off the bus and I got a hug from my twin brother in the middle of the desert. And I said, my God, what a small world. And they yelled, get back on this bus. They would not even give me enough time to just rejoice and see my twin brother. Nothing but a hug and somebody snapped the picture. And you know what? I got that picture. I look at it. I say, man, that picture brought me joy in a sad time. And I look at that picture now, I go, my God, I got that picture and a picture with me and my uncle. He 2 years older than I am, Reg, when he got back from Iraq, and I got them in my office side by side.
Mm-hmm.
Them two of my favorite pictures that I look at and they give me inspiration.
Could you imagine being